What is up, gamers? Welcome back. Today we are not gaming. We are actually practicing for my presentation tomorrow, which I am a little bit nervous. Um, but I'm always nervous. Everyone gets a little nervous before a presentation, even if they have everything memorized. Which we're gonna be improving some stuff, and we're gonna be doing some other stuff. Um, if people would like to give me feedback, uh, it's a 4 to 6 minute presentation, but the last few minutes should be discussion questions. So I'm going to try to keep it in between 4 minutes and then have that 2 extra minutes all for discussion questions and whatever anyone wants to ask for it. So some context, this uh, this presentation is about it's a critique on someone else's paper, so it's an argumentative paper. I'm going to be presenting my argumentative paper on Michael P. Levine, which is the dude's paper I'm critiquing and arguing against. Um, this is for my class, Philosophy of Race, 452. And yeah, so I'm gonna be doing this a bunch probably. I just got done with the slides. And so before I like to do presentations, I like to try to really prepare myself by not only practicing but like wearing what I want to wear, which I wanted to wear something casual but nice. I did want to wear my awesome Street Fighter shirt, but I think I will be a little bit more professional because I think in college you can still have fun, but it's good to be professional. And I think my way of having fun is my slides, because I made them a little bit fun. So I have my outlines here, but I'm probably going to read off my whole essay. Which, to be fair, this paper that I did, Michael P. Levine's, it's from a. It is from a book called Philosophy and Racism, I believe. I'll have to fact check that, but yeah, no, it's a paper. So pretty much for this class, we had to make an argumentative paper about 4 to 5 pages long, or whichever word count. I chose this one, which we couldn't do a reading from the class, and I didn't read that for some reason in the syllabus, and I was just like, oh, let me just do one from class. So my paper proposal was completely everywhere, and I was scrambling a bit to grab another paper because my teacher was like, "Hey, Bimmy, um, this is we can't you can't be doing it on this." And then I went on Google Scholar and was like, "Find me a paper about racism," and then I submitted another paper proposal, and it happened to be from another reading that we did in class. I just wasn't paying attention, and I was like, oh no. So I landed on the first one that I got, which happened to be Michael P. Levine's, and I just paper proposed it, and then I started reading it. Well, I did read it. I skimmed it, but I read it more in detail, and I was like, crap, this is actually a really good paper, and I'm going to have a hard time arguing against it. And I think I do still have a hard time arguing against it because um, I feel like my claim does kind of go out of the scope of what he's trying to argue. So this is just practice. This is not my best work, but I will present to you my presentation, and I will probably be on here going back and forth, standing around, presenting and whatnot. So I can only go so far. Otherwise, I would be like completely trying to practice um, this, but I'm not. So it is what it is, and I have my multiple notes. Here, let's get into this. Crap. Okay, slideshow. Okay. Okay, first of all, disclaimer. I just wanted to make a disclaimer that the grammar and the commas, grammar and commas, I just kind of use them whenever. Commas just go wherever. They look out of place, they might be out of place, but I kind of put commas in just wherever. And so when you look at some of these slides, the grammar might be funny, the commas might be funny, but that's on purpose. It's totally not because I finalized slides and couldn't change it. So don't worry about that. Quick disclaimer about this. So, okay, let me do a little reset. Hello, everyone. Okay, I'll be holding my paper. So, hello, everyone. Today, I'm doing a presentation on my paper, which is on the philosophical debate of whether racism is about psychological mechanisms or is it fundamentally tied to race and color. I will be yo. Chat ban him. I will be presenting Michael P. Levine's, argument that focuses on psychological mechanisms and my critique that race and color are central to understanding racism. Here is a roadmap of what I will be presenting today. First, we're going to look at Levine's argument, then we're going to do my critique of Levine's argument, and then counter-argument, which could be from another point of view, but specifically I'm trying to stay within Levine's argument and what he might argue against my critique, and a response to that, and then my positive thesis, which is a holistic approach to racism. Alright. Levine's claim. So, Levine's main claim is that racism is not about race or color. It's driven by unconscious psychological mechanisms like repression, denial, and projection. So, I have some stuff to say about this. So, yeah. Quick overview in his work, Racism in Mind, Philosophy and Racism. Michael P. Levine argues that racism is not just a result of false beliefs or moral failings, but is deeply rooted in the psychological mechanisms. Pronunciation is important. Levine claims that to understand racism, we need to focus on the psychological roots. Rather than emphasizing the role of race and color and what they play. I messed up on the wording, but we're not going to talk about that. So yeah, we have repression, denial, projection. To him, racism promotes a psychological phenomenon that comes from three mechanisms, which that comes from these mechanisms. You know, I read three, but it actually says these, which don't stem from race and color. Because he, in his thesis, quote, "It seems odd, after all, inexplicable, that someone should be hated merely because of his race or color. It turns out that race and color have little to do with racism." End quote. Levine, 2004, page 78. While Levine overlooks how deeply... Oh wait, that's my... Never mind. Hold up. Completely ignore that. Overall, he concludes that to understand and address racism, we need to focus on psychological roots rather than emphasizing the role that race and color play. This is my critique of Levine's argument, my negative thesis, if you will. Levine overlooks how deeply race and color are in individuals and societal structures. They're crucial because they are the tools in which systems of oppression are justified and perpetuated on both a subconscious and unconscious level. So, there are two reasons to believe this. First, it would be racism is institutionalized through systems that enforce racial hierarchy, for example, laws, education, and employment and housing. Um, all I heard was, oh, I didn't say that. So example of this would be Jim Crow laws. You know, Jim Crow laws, quote, separate but equal, but was actually used to perpetuate racial hierarchies, such as putting black individuals in a lower position and worse living conditions, which was based on race and color. Uh, maintaining, and these laws were key to maintaining racial inequalities. And, okay. Number two. Racism also operates through unconscious bias where individuals are perceived and treated based on race, even without conscious racist beliefs. Yeah, so these prejudices are rooted in race and color, even if they are not overt. So pretty much. Okay, sick. I'll see if I can play by then. I'm so down to play the finals. Even if they are not overt. So pretty much, you know, everyone has different beliefs of racism. So for an example of this would be law enforcement. Like black individuals are purposely targeted by law enforcement any more than any other race that's that's around. I don't know. And yeah, so yeah, hang on. Yeah, law enforcement. So even if a black individual was doing nothing wrong, they're more likely to be targeted by a policeman to be like, hey man, what are you doing? Like, you're doing something bad, even if they're not actually doing anything bad, because they are racially profiled. So there is that. I actually didn't write past on this, but I will say that Levine's objection, counterargument, and response. So Levine's probably going to make a little fuss about what I'm saying because what I'm saying is just nothing but facts. But an objection that he can pull out on me is since race is a social construct without a fixed definition, which he talks about in the beginning of his paper, it cannot be the central issue of racism because there is no defined definition. My response to that. Even without effects, definition, societal systems still categorize and define race, shaping discrimination. Real world racism is sustained by these categories, even if race as a concept is fluid or constructed. Oh, by the way, I wanted to say that the image, if you wanted to question the image that I used, oh my gosh, what is these herd of cattle? It is actually from yo, good point. Good point, freaking Elijah. Thank you so much for pointing that out. Like I said, there was a disclaimer in the beginning of this that you weren't here for, so let me fill you in real quick. Some of these things that are said on these slides that I'm not outright saying, but reading off, you know, the text in the slide, they have grammar mistakes. So you might think. And there might be commas where they're not supposed to be. That happens to be because I chose it that way. I don't need to explain myself, I just decided to. It had nothing to do with the fact that I finalized these slides and I can't change them. And they were just simply mistakes. I don't make mistakes, so don't worry about it. Great question, freaking Elijah. Can you please save this for the end discussion area? Thank you. Anyway, this image of cattle is here because it is actually a photo from Michael P. Levine's other book that I can't remember what it's called, but I will let you know. I will keep you updated because this is just attempt number 1 on the presentation. Okay, a holistic approach. If you're wondering why there's a photo of Moneyball, that's because this presentation, I actually took this slide from an older presentation from my marketing class, and it was on Moneyball. So I know marketing class having to make a presentation on Moneyball. That was dang good. Dang good. a dang good presentation. Probably one of my best. Though it was a low A, it was still an A. Anyways, so a holistic approach, my positive thesis. So to wrap everything up, actually we're not wrapping everything up. This isn't the conclusion slide, but we need to address both the psychological mechanisms and the role of race and color in systematic racism. Psychological mechanisms, Levine, explain how biases persist, but focusing on race and color is necessary to challenge systemic inequalities. Both need to be integrated to fully combat racism in society. Racism in Mind, that's the one I read from. Anyways, our conclusion today is while Levine's psychoanalytical approach sheds light on how psychological defenses work, dismissing race and color is problematic. Race and color are central to understanding racism because they are embedded in both personal biases and institutional structures. A combined approach of psychological and systemic offers the best chance at effectively combating racism. That's the end, thank you. Okay, so here's a little comic I drew. I actually drew this like a year ago, but I just added some stuff. So this was my original ending to my essay, which when you write something and then you're like, oh my gosh, I'm in college, I have to make this more academic sounding. So pretty much my last sentence wanted to be, once we take both approaches into account, it would be epic to see the process of the annihilation of racism. And then I put him saying, all right, mate. If you didn't notice, I did use the wrong photo of Michael P. Levine on the first slide that he's supposed to pop up, but I did make an asterisk correcting myself. But this one is actually an actual photo of Michael P. Levine, which, whoo, this guy. First of all, yeah. Okay, no, I'm good. I read something wrong. He's hard to find pictures of. So here are my discussion questions. Wait, what are you Oh, clap, thank you. Okay, so first discussion question. How can Levine's psychological approach to racism be expanded to better address systemic issues of race and color? Do you think that it's Great, now I have to... My derp life, dude. To fully combat racism without focusing on race and color? If so, why or why not? If so or if not, why? How can psychological approaches and systematic changes be integrated into real-world life to combat racism? So, does anyone have any answers, or can anyone say anything on these questions? Please let me know which question that you are talking about so that I know. Well, give me a sec while I go in and edit some of these slides. I know I said I couldn't edit, but that might be a clutch that I am using for in case there is and I do miss it. So let me fix this. Crap, this is a very hard fix. Okay, I'll just write down last slide, fix, pause, and then I believe that my other slide, it's this slide? This slide, slide 5, effects, whatever Elijah says, and he'll help me, I'm sure. Anyways, what did you guys think? So I'm actually going to go through this again because, like I said, this is a, presentation, so you need to practice if you want to get better. I am Sisyphus, and maybe I will never peak, but what matters is that I am trying. Has anyone heard the drums? like the drums, the new album that came out last year, so it's not actually really new, called Johnny. Anyway, there's this song in there, and I was listening to the album, and I was jamming out, as I usually do. And there's this one part in the album where he says, I quote, Sisyphus in my face, Fucking my face, which that caught me very off guard. That was a crazy thing to say. Um, but yeah, anyways, I'm going to go ahead and actually read my essay, my term paper, if you will, as we go along, which it is titled Race and Color, Fundamental or Not When Addressing Racism. So yes, I will go through. This is my roadmap of my argument, but actually, I will. I kind of understand. So, in his work, Racism in Mind, Philosophy and Racism, Michael P. Levine argues that racism is not just a result of a false belief or moral failings, but is deeply rooted in psychological mechanisms. I'm actually going to turn this sideways because I think it might be easier to read. Oh no. He asserts that racism is continued by these psychological defenses rather than being driven by a focus on race and color itself. In this paper, I will argue against Levine's claim that racism has little to do with race and color. I will first reconstruct Levine's argument, then I will argue against his position, offering a negative thesis that critiques his claim that racism isn't just about race and color. Then I will provide a positive thesis that advocates for a more holistic approach to combating racism that addresses individual psychological biases and systematic inequities that focus on race and color as the root of these issues of racism. So I will say that I don't normally read my stuff out loud, so a lot of this I might struggle to read because if I haven't read it out loud, I just might start tweaking. Anyway, so yeah, there's a little outline of what I will be doing. And on to Levine's argument. Michael P. Levine begins by questioning what racism is and what the causes of racism are. He argues that racism is deeply rooted in psychological mechanisms such as repression, denial, and projection. Also, he states that individuals and their emotions and beliefs about race are shaped by these defense mechanisms, which manifest into consistent racial prejudices, whether the individual is actively trying to be racist or not. Levine declares that these psychological processes are important to understanding racism because they explain why it is difficult to change racial hatred and biases. The traditional cognitive and moral approach to racism, which is a moral wrongdoing or false belief, is critiqued by Levine. He points out that these approaches fail to capture the nuances of racism because they overlook the psychological dimensions. Furthermore, Levine claims that when trying to understand racism, race and color have little to do with racism. In his view, racism promotes a psychological phenomenon that emerges from these unconscious psychological mechanisms which do not necessarily stem from race itself. According to Levine, we focus on race and color as the core of racism. It leads us to the wrong direction because it ultimately overlooks the psychological mechanisms that drives the problem. He argues that regardless of explicit racial categories, racism pushes past race and color-based ideology and is eventually rooted in emotional defense mechanisms that shape our perceptions. To Levine, racism is something that cannot be fully explained by focusing on moral wrongdoings and cognitive errors alone. Instead, it needs to be looked at through the lens of a psychological phenomenon that involves unconscious motivations and emotional defense systems. He concludes that without truly understanding and targeting that these deeper psychological mechanisms, efforts to reduce racism will not encapsulate all of the underlying problems that we encounter, which ultimately makes combating racism less successful. I think I messed up on my essay. Little error. Like I said, I do it on purpose. Race and color are essential to understanding. Okay. So, race and color are essential to understanding racism, as they are fundamental to the systems and structures that sustain racial inequalities. In his paper, Levine disagrees that race and color are essential to understanding racism. I quote. Hold up. He quotes, "It seems odd, after all, inexplicable, that someone should be hated merely because of his race or color. It turns out that race and color have little to do with racism." End quote. Levine, 2004, page 78. Shichi Ju Hachi, bro. Levine focuses on psychological mechanisms. Oh, let me restart this. Levine's focus on psychological mechanisms overlooks how deeply rooted race and color are in individuals and societal structures. Race and color are crucial to understanding racism. They are the tools in which systems of oppression are justified and perpetuated on both a subconscious and unconscious level. I kind of ate that sentence. There are two reasons to believe racism stems from race and color. Hello? What's up? I don't know where your keys are. Yeah. I am. Everyone say hi to freaking Elijah. He's here. Cause we're all streaming. He must have left his keys. I don't know where your race is. I mean, I don't know where your keys are. I don't know where your racism is. Have a good time lifting. First, race. Oh, wait, okay, let me restart. There are two reasons to believe racism stems from race and color. First, race and color are primary factors in how racism is institutionalized. Systems and policies have been constructed to enforce racial oppression that suggests racial hierarchy. This is done through laws, education, employment, and housing. These systems are designed to perpetuate racial inequalities, and the categories of race and color are used to justify and maintain these systems. An example of this would be Jim Crow laws and the phrase separate but equal, used to segregate by race and subject black people specifically to worse living conditions. Therefore, racism cannot be separated from the concept of race and color because through racial classifications, oppression is institutionalized and maintained. Secondly, racism operates not just through individual bias, but also through unconscious societal biases that affect people based on their race and color. These biases take many forms, some implicit racial stereotypes to group preferences, and function as part of a larger system that maintains attitudes that stem from race and color. For example, law enforcement studies show that black individuals are stopped and searched more than any other race by the police due to unconscious biases that associate their race with criminality, even if no evidence suggests wrongdoing. These biases based on race are part of a larger system that keeps discriminatory attitudes and actions in place. Even if an individual doesn't consciously hold a racist belief, they still live in a society where racial biases influence how people are perceived and treated. This widespread unconscious bias affects groups and individuals based on their race and color. A strong objection Levine could raise against my argument is that racism is not truly about race and color, because there is no universal consensus or fixed definition of what race is. He acknowledges that there are undoubtedly a plethora of issues concerning racism, which one of which is the very concept of race. If race is a societal construct without a fixed definition, then Levi can claim that it would not be the central issue of racism. However, this objection fails because even without a fixed definition, societal systems continue to define and categorize race, which influences how individuals perceive and are perceived, ultimately shaping the structural and social systems that perpetuate racial inequalities. So even through Levine so even though Levine defined racism and race for his argument, he also recognizes the complexity and lack of clarity surrounding the concept and question of what race is. Overall, the lack of a universal definition does not negate the real-world systems that have been put into place and the fact that people in society apply their own definitions to race. You know, while I disagree with Levine's assertion that race and color aren't a fundamental part of racism, his psychological analysis of racism provides good insight into the internal mechanisms that perpetuate prejudice. A holistic approach is needed to combat racism effectively. This approach would need to integrate both Levine's psychological framework and understanding that race and color are fundamental to racism. Racism is deeply embedded into our social, political, and economic systems, and this racism is based on and perpetuated by race and color. Addressing both personal and institutional racism is critical for challenging racism and creating meaningful change. In conclusion, while Levine's psychoanalytical approach broadens the understanding of on the psychological side of racism by giving us insight into how defense mechanisms work in the brain, his claim that racism doesn't have anything to do with race and color is flawed. Race and color are crucial to understanding how racism is experienced and institutionalized, as it is the core of which racism stems. When trying to efficiently combat racism, we must recognize how race and color play a major role in racism, and it is the sole reason why racism exists. Once we take both of these approaches into account, it would be intriguing to see the process towards dismantling racism and the systems perpetuated by it. That is the end, thank you. And if you heard that last sentence, like I said, that once we take both approaches into account, it would be epic to see the process of the annihilation of racism. That was a reiteration of what that was supposed to be, but more in an academic format. So that was my essay. If you listened, I appreciate it. I'm going to be doing this again because we keep grinding. So now that I've read it, now that I've really put it in my brain, I'm so sorry if I'm making like disgusting mouth noises too, because not only am I a bit of a tweaker right now because of what I'm doing with I've just been sitting at a screen creating this presentation, and now I have to, change it up more, which I'm not too happy about. Let me drink some water. So yeah. Now I will start from the beginning again. Sisyphus in my face, freaking up my face. So yeah, here we go again. It's improv time, because I don't actually want to do it with my notes. I like to have notes, just in case I space out, which happens to be often. But today I will be I will be not. I will be going on and off. So I will be seeing how I'm doing without it because I am going to try very hard to remember my essay, which it's there because I wrote it. Um, I just think reiterating my essay in presentation format is very hard from just my memory alone. But with hard things, that's where the role of practice comes in, and let's hope it works out because I also have to remember that I'm going to be doing this in front of other people. And you know, it's fine. It's fine if I'm streaming it. You know, you don't get nervous when you're streaming stuff because you're like, yeah, man, check this out. I'm gaming. Haha, yeah. So it doesn't matter. You know, seeing numbers versus seeing actual faces is very hard. But I also, I think it's good. It's good. It's good to put yourself in situations that are hard. And this is one of those situations. So, yes, we are going to be practicing. Okay. And I'm sorry, I do get a little bit nervous thinking about it. But nervous, I'm just excited. I'm excited. I love presentations, genuinely. Like I love presentations. Um, but I still get nervous. It happens. It happens to the best of us. Oh man, boy, does it ever. Okay, so I still need to mention. My main thing is to mention the the commas thing because it's true. I don't know if I can edit all of it, and in case there is a slip up on one of the slides, I do like to have something to fall back on. So, statement about commas is what I'm going for. Statement about Levine, the photo of the cows, I need to make sure that why that's there. Uh, Otherwise, it's just a random photo of cows. And I also need to mention law enforcement and how law enforcement, um, they okay, there. I need this brain dump because I can't just resort to looking back at my essay. But, you know, law enforcement tends to target black individuals because they have a bias that associates their race with criminalization. So, there is a bias. That's my second example because I was going to do three examples when I first wrote my term paper, but it, you know, the third one kind of sounded like a reiteration of the first two just combined. So I took it out and anyway, law enforcement. I need that third example. Oh, that second example. Yeah, that's pretty the summary of what I need. Okay, so I will start with my disclaimer. Disclaimer. There might be grammar issues and there might be comma issues. The commas placed in places where they might not should be. Wait, they might. They. I'm already messing this up. Okay, commas where they are commas where they. Okay, I'm like actually brain farting right now. Whatever. Commas where they shouldn't be. That's okay. Did it on purpose. It's totally not because I couldn't edit the slide because I finalized it, but whatever. Alright. Hello everyone. This is my presentation on my term paper, Race and Color. Fundamental or not when addressing racism. This presentation looks at philosophy and racism by Michael P. Levine and critiques his argument that racism is rooted in psychological mechanisms and not race and color. So I actually need to be doing this because I'm going to be standing here, you know, doing this. So maybe I should have my notes so you guys can see my back. Okay. Alright, so here we have a roadmap. First, I'm going to be doing a reiteration of Michael P. Levine's argument, and then I will be critiquing his argument, which is my negative thesis, and then I will be doing a counter argument and response, which could be really anyone's counter argument to my critique. It's going to be from the view of Michael P. Levine. I'll probably keep that out. Anyway, the fourth one, and a positive thesis, which is a holistic approach on all of this. So first, we will start with Levine's claim, which in How Racism Works, I believe it's that. Oh, in his work, Racism in Mind, Philosophy of Racism, Michael P. Levine questions what racism is. You know, where does racism come from? Well, racism, to him, it is psychological defense mechanisms. It doesn't actually really have anything to do with race and color, as Levine's main claim is that racism is not about race and color, it's driven by unconscious psychological mechanisms like repression, denial, and projection. He also argues that focusing on race and color changes. It pushes the attention away from deeper psychological processes that maintain racism. And the traditional view of racism, which would be moral wrongdoings or just the wrong belief, which, you know, example, like, oh, it's wrong to be racist, or just like, I believe that it's morally wrong to be this race. Fails to address these defenses. Overall, he concludes that to understand and address racism, we need to focus on psychological roots rather than emphasizing the role that race and color play. Now, on to the good part. My argument. Critique of Levine's argument. Negative thesis. My critique: race and color are fundamental to understanding and addressing racism. Racism is institutionalized. Hold up. So, there are two main reasons why I am arguing against Levine's claim. First of all, I am arguing that race and color do they are important to racism. They are actually very essential because race and color are the tools that are used to perpetuate racial inequalities and systems and institutions. I can't remember my thesis. I'll definitely look back at it and check it again. But the two main reasons, the first one is that racism is institutionalized through systems that enforce racial hierarchy. For example, as laws, education, employment, and housing. Don't ask me why I use two ands. And an example of this would be Jim Crow laws, because we all know Jim Crow laws. You know the main one that they started, separate but equal, and this law was used to, put black people in a worse living conditions. Like, for example, we all know the classic Rosa Parks back at the bus stuff. With the bus, whites were up front, blacks were in the back. The whole idea is separate but equal. Oh, they could ride the same bus, but actually they cleaned the front of the bus, but they didn't do that in the back of the bus. So, leaving blacks in a worse condition, a living condition, and just, a system that perpetuate, Jim Crow laws enforced segregation based on race, and these laws were key to maintaining racial inequalities. Racism also operates on through unconscious bias, where individuals are perceived and treated based on race, even without conscious racist beliefs. So, we all have some beliefs and biases about certain races, racism, race in general. Example of this would be law enforcement, and how black individuals are more likely to be targeted from from law enforcement because there is an unconscious bias that associates black individuals with criminalization. Even if the individual isn't doing anything wrong, they are still more likely to be stopped or questioned by law enforcement because of the bias that comes. These prejudices are rooted in race and color, even if they are not overt. Levine's objection, counterargument, and response. Now, here's something that someone might say against me, but I'm like, So, by the way, this photo was a photo from Levine's, one of Levine's book, which I don't remember the name of. But, yeah, that's the choice of this image was Levine. So, Levine, an objection Levine might have against my argument is that since race is a social construct without a fixed definition, I should add fixed. It cannot be the central issue of racism. So, funny that you say that, Levine. Because even Levine, in his paper, admits that race is very hard to define. And nobody actually knows what a racism, like figuring out what racism is. Like there's so much stuff revolving racism that it's too hard. But even though he has his own definition in his argument and in his paper, he still admits that it is hard to even put a definition on race because it feels like such a subjective thing, and philosophers are, this constant questioning of what race is. So it's really hard to pinpoint what racism might be for Levine. But my response to that would be, even without the definition, like effects that race has had, societal systems still categorize and define race. So even though we have these really nuanced ideas floating in the air about race, we still have systems that define race. For example, Census Bureau, when you're checking stuff out, like when I was applying to UO, it asked me what race I was, and I had to slap the Asian box, thus defining race. I clicked not Hispanic or Latino and Asian. So, real world racism is sustained by these categories even if race is a concept or fluid. Race as a concept is fluid or constructed. My examples. So in a holistic approach, positive thesis, we need to address both the psychological mechanisms and the role that race and color play in systematic racism. Psychological mechanisms, Levine, explain how biases persist, but focusing on race and color is necessary to change systematic inequalities. Both need to be integrated to fully combat racism in society. So, in conclusion, everyone, while Levine's psychoanalytical approach sheds light on these defense mechanisms that are psychological, race and color are central to understanding racism because they are embedded in both personal biases and institutional structures. Makes sense, right? A combined approach of psychological and systemic offers the best chance at effectively combating racism. So everyone, thank you so much for coming to my presentation and watching. Here's an actual photo of Michael P. Levine. And I have some discussion questions for everyone. The first one, number 1. How can Levine's psychological approach to racism be expanded to better address systematic issues of race and color? Do you think that it's possible to fully combat racism without focusing on race and color? If so, or if not, why? How can psychological approaches, 3, and systemic changes be integrated into real-world life to combat racism? All right. Ask away, everybody. So I think that's a lot longer than 4 minutes. But like I said, I'm just trying to do a brain dump right now. I actually don't know if I said that. But that's kind of the goal. I'm trying to remember everything I need to remember, hit the points that I need to hit, and I feel like that wasn't too bad. It wasn't great because there were a lot of mistakes on memorizing stuff and just stuff in general. But that that is what we're going with. So now it's time to be Sisyphus again and restart all the way from the beginning. But this time, time it and try to keep it within the scope of what I would like it to be. And I'm going to do a speed run and try to do that. I think another issue is that when I wear these headphones, they squeeze my head a lot, and with gaming that usually helps, but with talking and trying to present something, it doesn't help. And I know that seems like it might be because maybe they're the same. Like I'm still talking and doing something, but I guess when I have to stand up and dance around and talk and actively use my brain for something that's not trying to hit a nasty quick scope, it's hard. Maybe I should put a clip of me gaming at the end. I have some pretty good clips. Anyway, it's time to restart. I'm taking a break. Oh, do I have a headache? Alright. Let's time this. I can make it 5 minutes as long as yeah. Actually, I don't know. Okay. So, a brief overview. Disclaimer, yada yada, commas. Just ignore there's gonna be some grammatical mistakes. It's alright, it's alright. It happens. It happens. I'm so sorry. My apologies to my professor. I am so sorry. I should have double checked, and I'm so sorry. In fact, I actually will, because now that I say that out loud, I will definitely double check. And I will still probably have that clutch to clutch on, but I will definitely be redoing this and whatnot. See, it feels so weird to stand and do this because when I'm near my PC, I just want to be sitting and gaming. But and also these headphones are connected to my PC, so I can't fully stand, I feel like. Another thing is I'm currently wearing somewhat some high shoes, so I'm a little taller than normal, but it's okay. But yeah, I just feel like when I'm standing and giving presentations, it's hard to not do anything with my body language. That was me doing the wolf. Anyway, okay, timed. I'm doing this timed. Sorry, I'm actually crashing out right now. I watched a Fortnite streamer crash out today too, which it was like reasonable until he got gifted 100 subs. He's like, "Hey man, thanks. I'm on a winning streak," which he wasn't on a winning streak, which I'm sure was like a joke, and that he was lying. But I was still like, "Yo man, you're not on a winning streak. You keep saying people are sniping you, so you know who you are." 30, whatever your name is. Maybe a reasonable crash out. He said he had been gaming for like 10 hours, but I don't know. So it is what it is. Anyway, let's get back into it. Let's start timing. And I'm actually going to use these just in case. And I'm going to be watching the clock. Okay. Alright. Hello, everyone. Today I will be presenting my paper, my term paper, which is on the philosophical debate on whether racism is about psychological mechanisms or is it fundamentally tied to racism and color. So, I will be presenting Michael P. Levine's argument that focuses on psychological mechanisms and my critique that race and color are central to understanding racism. So, here is a little roadmap of what my term paper was constructed. It first started off with a brief summary of Levine's argument and what he's arguing for in this, and the second is critiquing Levine, which is my negative thesis on you guessed it, the critique of Levine's paper and argument. And number 3, the counter argument and response. And number 4, my positive thesis, which is a holistic approach to what racism, the tied to race and color. I'm crashing hard. Dude, what is Atlas? Anyway, please read the disclaimer at the bottom. So, Levine, Michael P. Levine, this guy, in his work, Racism in Mind, Philosophy and Racism, Michael P. Levine argues that racism is not just a result of false beliefs or moral failings, but is deeply rooted in psychological mechanisms. Levine claims that to understand and address racism, we need to focus on these psychological roots rather than emphasizing the role of race and color, the role that race and color play. To him, racism promotes a psychological phenomenon that comes from these mechanisms which don't stem from race and color. If we focus on races and color, the core of racism, it leads us in the wrong direction because psychological mechanisms drive the problem. Because he says, quote, "It seems odd, after all, inexplicable that someone should be hated merely because of his race or color. It turns out that race and color have little to do with racism." End quote. Levine, 2004, page 78. Critique of Levine's argument. Okay, so racism is institutionalized through systems. There are two. Okay, freak, I already messed up. We love racism. Oh, I'm just reading chat. I'm not actually saying. Wait, Bimmy. We love Bimmy talking about racism. W racism. Crazy saying this mid-Bible study. That's crazy! That's crazy! Anyway. Dang it, I'm doing timed. Maybe I should... Okay, so I think I'm going to actually reset this. And I'm going to do this and see how it is. Just reading the slides and see how timed reading the slides would be. Okay, so what's up, everyone? This is Race and Color, Fundamental or Not When Addressing Racism. This is my term paper, and this presentation is on my term paper that looks at the philosophy and racism by Michael P. Levine and critiques his argument that racism is rooted in psychological mechanisms, not race and color. Thank you. I'm trying to dress nice for this, or a little nice, more nicer than usual. Here's a little roadmap of what we will be looking through. A pretty brief thing of my paper. How my paper is laid out. Levine's argument, critique of Levine, aka my negative thesis, counter argument and a response, and a positive thesis, a holistic approach. Alright, so number 1, Levi's claim. So in his work, Philosophy and of Racism, critique of racism, Levine's main claim is that racism is not about race or color. It's driven by unconscious psychological mechanisms like repression and denial and projection. He argues that focusing on race and color diverts attention from the deeper psychological processes that maintain racism. The traditional view of racism as moral wrongdoings or false beliefs, fails to address these defenses. Overall, he concludes, to understand and address racism, we need to focus on psychological roots rather than emphasizing the role that race and color play. So here's a little quote from him. Quote, "It seems odd, after all, inexplicable that someone should be hated merely because of his race or color. It turns out that race and color have little to do with racism. End quote, Michael Levine, 2004, page 78. On to my argument, the more important stuff. Here's my critique. My critique overall: race and color are fundamental to understanding and addressing racism, as they are the tools that perpetuate racial inequalities, both personal, individual, and systematic. Racism, whatever. Racism is institutionalized through these systems that enforce racial hierarchy. For example, laws, education, unemployment, and housing. As an example of this would be Jim Crow laws. Enforced segregation based on race. And these laws were key to maintaining racial inequalities. I go a little bit more into detail in my paper, but don't worry about it. And, racism also operates through an unconscious bias where individuals are perceived and treated based on race, even without conscious racist beliefs. These prejudices are rooted in race and color, even if they are not overt. Example of the second claim that I'm doing would be law enforcement, and we all know who police like to pull over. We all know the police. We all know the favorite race police people like to pull over. Yeah, so black individuals are more likely to get pulled over than any other and racially profiled because of their race, because their race are associated with criminalization, which is an unconscious bias that some people in police stuff and law enforcement have, whether they realize it or not. So, the stats show that. Levine's objection and counter-argument and response. So if he responded, he'd probably say something like, since race is a social construct without a fixed definition, it cannot be the central issue of racism. You know what? Okay, but if that's the case, then even without effects and definitions, societal systems can still categorize and define race, shaping discrimination. An example of this would be doing a Census Bureau, or even when I applied to UO, because when I applied to UO, they asked me what race I was and gave me a whole list. And me having my own personal bias and understanding of what race might be, I slapped the non-Hispanic, not Latino box, and then I circled the Asian one. But real world racism is sustained by these categories, even if race as a concept is fluid or construction. So pretty much my approach I want to take for is we need to address both psychological mechanisms and the role of race and color in systematic racism, because psychological mechanisms, like the ones Levine talks about, explain how biases persist, but focusing on race and color is necessary to challenge systematic inequalities. Both need to be integrated to fully combat racism in society. And in conclusion, while Levine's psychoanalytical approach sheds light on how psychological defenses work, dismissing race and color is problematic. Race and color are central to understanding racism because they are embedded in both personal biases, institutional structures. A combined approach of psychological and systemic offers the best chance at effectively combating racism. Room temp IQ. The end. Thank you so much. Here are my discussion questions. Which, you can read them because I'm out of time. Yeah, you know what? I'm fine not answering discussion questions, so I think I'll be fine. I stayed underneath 6 minutes, so that's what matters. Okay, so I'll read chat. We love racism. Fuck, I'ma kill myself. WFit, do you see these hand signs when you actually present? Yeah, I do, unfortunately. You're cooking. Racism bad. Cops be like, pow, pow, pow. Yeah, because I have to stand up there. Well, usually I have my notes, and I will use hand signs. Since this class I feel like is a bit more, I don't want to say laid back because it is a very serious class and we do talk about very serious topics, but we are like, we have some type of community where it feels that if I am being too much with my hands and body language, that will be fine. I don't think I'll get marked down for it. I'm going to try not to because practicing stuff like this good for professionalism. Like when I did my marketing presentation that was outlined exactly like this, I actually walked around the room the whole time doing it because I did a good job memorizing it. So I was able to because it was a business class, marketing class. I did have to be more like, "Hello guys, I'm marketing and market Moneyball because it was on Moneyball." Which I can actually show my see, I'm scared what's in here. So it was critical thinking, Moneyball, decision making, critical thinking, a presentation on the importance of Moneyball, critical thinking, and decision making in the world of marketing. He gave us 3 things to give a 5-minute presentation on, which was crazy. Oh my gosh, it's exactly like my other one. I did this all on Procreate. I'm actually very proud of these slides, which is why I didn't get rid of them. But yeah, I explored it. Yeah, Moneyball, critical thinking. I really liked these slides. I like this slide. Good slide and case study. There we go. Wow, there was literally nothing in this. I actually did more. Holy, wait, what? Is that actually 8 slides? Are you kidding me? Interesting. I wonder what I changed. Anyway. That's my thing on racism. Thank you all for watching. I'm exhausted, man. Dude, I've been streaming this for an hour and 6 minutes. I hope I have energy to game after this. I should probably do some other homework, or I should actually edit those slides because I was mentioning that. But I do want to play the finals. Thank you for the claps, Maple. But yeah, that was my presentation. Do you guys have any feedback or anything you want to add to the discussion? Anything you guys want to say about my presentation? Any critique? Anything that I can wear a fish shirt? Which fish shirt should I wear? Should I wear? Hold up. So I have 2 options. I'm actually gonna wear this. That was the plan of this. So I actually have my California fishing shirt. It's got a fish on the back. My brother got this for me. And then I have my fishaholic sweatshirt. This is my favorite hoodie. This thing has survived, like, cause I rotate my closet, dude. Fishaholic, dude. My friend Tom got this for me. It's fucking awesome. Freaking awesome. Sister fish, freaking my face. I feel like I do have other fish stuff. Well, I have fish memorabilia around. For example, I actually wanted to showcase my fish stuff, but also, sorry, my room is a mess. I have my salmon, my female salmon, slow it says, and then my mackerel and shrimp, and yeah, I feel like I have. Oh, I have this great. Let me show you this. Dirty Obbit. They're actually clean. You freak. Okay, check this out. I have this awesome. Dude, I got this with my friend Chev at Goodwill. It's this awesome frame. It's okay that you can't see the photo. It's not the best photo. Uh, a fish. I love fish. I am from a fishing town. But yeah, I this isn't fish, but I wanted to show off my Time magazine Gengar. Um, I haven't fully read this. I read some of it, and it's on the Pokemon. Um, Here is also some of the stuff we read. The Heart of Racism by J. L. A. Garcia. This was a lot of the papers that we did in this class was really good. This one was about the phenomena of racism having plagued us for many centuries now is somewhat surprising to learn that the concept is so young. I don't remember what this one's about. I remember I read it and I was like, oh, I was like, wow, interesting. And then it clearly exited my brain because I'm not able to reiterate the main argument or claim. Oh no! I have terrible drawings that I need to get rid of. I'm taking a photo for a Tomodachi of mine. Anyway, yeah, that is everything. I don't remember what else I need to talk about. But I might present this again. Thank you. I hope so, man. I mean, this isn't. Another thing about this presentation is that I don't think it's being graded very highly. Um, because. Yeah, I just think he added this because he was like, hey, we have an extra week left because my professor is awesome. I will not take slander of this professor, which I hear sometimes, and I'm like, dude, you just don't like extra work, which he doesn't even give extra work. He's awesome. Whatever. I stand him. He is a W professor, genuinely. Um, but yeah, here are my notes. Look, I'm doing art. Dude, you cannot be saying that. He's just an old guy. My notes. I will probably rewrite my notes. I wanted to also showcase some of my comics that I've been working on while I'm at it. Here, give me a sec. What the fr- oh. My thing is too long. Hold up. Am I stupid? And Genjitsu. Crap. Stop staring at me like that. Like what? You already know what I'm gonna call you. I'm telling you right now, I'm all for the annihilation of racism, but I don't know about the annihilation of homophobia. Maple. Just kidding, just kidding. I'm an ally, queer ally, guys. Just kidding. Anyway, yeah. So I wanted to show. First of all, here's my running schedule that I'm working on. Um. So, um, I feel like talking about comics are really awkward. But actually, I wanted to talk about this one specifically. So, there's this one that has actually manifested itself into reality. You know, because Koriwa Genjitsu. I think I'm saying that wrong. Anyway, um, so this one is about. Let's see, this one. I'm trying to frame this right. Which I guess I should just. Hold up. Hold up, hold up. Hold up, hold up. Maybe not, maybe not. We're gonna. Um. So yeah, this one's about coffee. And I wanted to show this one because it's like. So it starts off. Actually, I think I have these posted in the Discord, which I can talk about them. Give me a sec to type. Holy cow, you guys have messaged me. I didn't even realize. Bro, fuck you! Bro, I'ma kill you, dude! Bro, I'ma murder you! Oh my god, dude! Dude, fuck you! That's crazy. I'm gonna. That one's at you, Atlas. No way, bro. I'ma kill your ass. Dude, thank goodbye self confidence. Dude, he cooked my ass. I'm gone. I'm a goner. Dude, I know. I do need to work on that. So I don't know why I haven't posted any of my recent ones. I feel like I did though. Okay. So, I would like to make this bigger. Save image. Okay, that didn't help. Uh, I guess this will do it. So, W screenshot from Alice. Man, bro, I not a okay, it's fine. It's fine. It's whatever. It's fine, dude. I told you I was being a tweaker. That's normal behavior. Um, so this one, you can read it. I don't want to read it out loud, but yeah. I actually started drinking like 5 cups of coffee a day just because of this Thanksgiving. I don't know how, I don't know why, it just started happening. But now I've been trying to ease off the coffee, and it's been kind of hard, man. Put me in a comic or I'll kill myself and blame you or you in a note. Dude, dude, you're already in the holiday card, which I need to print and send out. Also, are you gonna say like you like gay people in the note? What note? You little freak. Dude, where's my Brita water filter? This one is genuinely one of my favorites. Oh yeah, I was just talking about coffee. Um but yeah, this one I need to finalize. But I think I might make it 10 panels, not 8. I don't know. I'm thinking of extending it because of the process of I think I would just add 2 more steps of scooping it up, waiting for it to filter, um, drinking it. See, now I need another. I did do this one. I think it's up here. But, maybe I didn't put it in. I guess I must have not. I also, since we just saw Max Morin, I did really want to do this one, but I was thinking I was going to wait until spring term comes because this is a spring term type thing where The Nerm. The freaking. The what's it called? Crap. Um. The duck mascot. Whatever. When we playing Dress to Impress. True, dude. I will do that. But this is the second part of it. I think I might make it really detailed and have that. But my other ones are about the. This one is about how I got cold called in my class. But yeah, I don't know. I realize that it's really hard to talk about the stuff I'm doing when I don't really have, I don't know, good stuff to. I'm spacing. Like a layout of stuff. But yeah, that's everything. Soon we will play the finals, hopefully. Genuinely, I'm kind of crashing out. I don't know if you can tell by the way my brain is just not working right now. Hey man, it happens. But I do want to play Dress to Impress. I need to change out of these clothes so I don't start sweating in them when I'm gaming. And no, we're playing the finals. There's no way we're not playing the finals. I know I said that I'm brain dead right now, or somewhat along the lines of that, like my brain is just fried, but I'm not. I'm not that gone. But I need to take these headphones off and regenerate and get some sustenance in my system. Man, bro, is that you? Is that you? Fuck. Here, I will show the photo. I have no shame. You know, there are just some bad photos of me out there, and this happens to be one of them. But unfortunately, this one is like a this one is like the singular bullet in the eagle eye sniper in Fortnite, getting ready to absolutely obliterate me. Hey, did you see this? Hey, hold up, hold up. Let me show you something. Did you see this clip of me? Not to toot my own horn, but let me show you this. Oh my goodness. Where are my clips? Hold up. Clips. Top. Oh my goodness. I didn't know. This was gaming with you guys, by the way. By the way, you got the BTS cup. Man, bro. You see that? That's gonna be you. Let me play it again. Boom. F word. Sorry, I'm tooting my own horn. Great, now we have this absolute horrendous photo of me. Thank you so much, Atlas. It happens. I do have the BTS cut because I cut my bangs myself the other night. But yeah. Thank you guys so much for coming to the stream. And thank you so much, Atlas, for screenshotting. Dude, what made you screenshot that, by the way? I hate yo ass, bro. Dude, I'm starving. I'm actually starving. The hunger hit me, and now I'm like, oh, I need sustenance. So, I will probably go do that. And Atlas, I'm going to interrogate you about that photo later. So, thank you so much, everyone. If there's anyone who has, for real, rewatch VODs to listen to how funny I am, bro. I. You're the only reason why my viewer count is up. You're just replaying that shit back. You're like, that was a knee slapper. But yeah. I will see you guys later.